Our next speaker has the best-selling book on nutrition of all time, over 10 million copies sold, The Vitamin Bible. He is a master herbalist, a registered pharmacist, and a professor of health and nutrition. You're going to be wowed by what he says. And for many of you, it's going to be life-changing concerning your health. Would you please stand, and with all the energy you can demonstrate, welcome Dr. Earl Mindell!
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you. No pill's gonna kill my head. I got a bad case of loving you.
Hello, Chicagoland! I want to tell you something. I just had a real thrill a few minutes before. I got to meet one of my heroes, a guy that you know is one of your local people. Did you hear him? Good day. He's one of my heroes, Paul Harvey. What a wonderful man. You should be proud to have him as one of your people. Okay, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about human life expectancy. Right now, you're averaging about 76.7 years. But Tufts University says you should be living to be 135 years of age. We're only probably about 40% of what we should be doing. People say to me, wait a minute, you can't live that long. You're going to be in terrible shape. I'm talking about being in great shape. I'm talking about dying of old age, because we're not dying of old age. We're dying of degenerative diseases. 9 out of 10 will die from number 1 killer, heart disease, number 2 killer, cancer. I'll bet you there's no one here in this audience that doesn't know someone who either has had a heart attack or has some type of cancer. And that's pathetic, because at the turn of this century, heart disease and cancer were relatively unknown. I want you to know what I know. I want you to feel the way I feel. And that's what we're going to talk about, some of the secrets. But we also have to tell you that our diet, the so-called standard American diet, is not too great. So I have picked 10 of the foods and other things that I recommend you avoid at all costs. And the first, number 10, is don't eat, drink, or take anything advertised on commercial television. Do you ever see them say, hey, Bugs Bunny was right, it's time for a carrot? No, it's all these junk foods that are high in fat, high in sugar, low in fiber, and who knows what else they have, all artificial type things. So try that as a rule of thumb. There's a couple exceptions, but in general, that's a pretty good rule. Number 9 on the list, margarine. Boy, did they sell us a bill of goods about margarine. Because you see, there's a thing called trans fatty acids or hydrogenated vegetable oils, which we now know is worse than the regular saturated fat. People say, well, what can I use instead? Try olive oil. And if you have to eat butter, take half butter and half olive oil, put it together. Last night I had a baked potato, and I asked the waitress to bring some olive oil. I put the olive oil in the baked potato. Tastes great. See, olive oil is very rich in monounsaturated oils, which help to lower cholesterol and also be a preventative against heart disease. Okay, number 8. Artificial sweeteners. I don't care what you call it. There's one called aspartame or NutraSweet or Equal or Saccharin. One of the aspartames breaks down to a substance called formaldehyde at room temperature. And some of those you're not going to like this, but some of the soft drinks that you see in your grocery shelf are 3 months old by the time they get to your grocer, and they've been sitting at room temperature, and the artificial sweetener is breaking down to formaldehyde. Whoa. Okay, next number. Number 7. Cola drinks. I don't care if they're diet or regular, although I do recommend the diet colas for external use. They're great for removing insects from the chrome of your car in the summer. They make a great degreaser in your washing machine. And if you have any corrosion on your battery cables, try using the cola drinks. They work beautifully to remove the corrosion. What else can you use instead of? I'll spell it. W-A-T-E-R. Are you familiar with it? It's great. It helps you basically dissolve some of the fat in the bloodstream. It helps nice clear skin and normal regularity, and it can also help you with your weight control. Next number. Here is number 6. Fast food, French fries, and fried hamburger. Now, there's a local company here that started, I think, in this, their headquarters in this area. They have an M, I think is their, anybody seen that? They sell fried hamburger, French fries, and I think they fry the container too. So heaven forbid anything isn't fried. They are the #1 source of saturated fat in this country. So in fact, our president, our current president, Mr. Clinton, is having a little problem with his weight. And I sent him a letter a few years back saying, when you're jogging, jog right by the fast food restaurants. Don't stop there, because if he gets big enough, he won't be able to fit on the television set. Anyway, next number. Okay, let's go to mayonnaise. It is 80% fats. You know, when you're having a tuna sandwich or something, when you add mayonnaise to it, you increase the saturated fat tremendously. So there are other things to use besides that. Go ahead, next number. Here is, oh, I love this one. Have you guys heard of this potato chip called Wow potato chip? Have you seen it? This is the only country in the world where we have warning labels on our potato chips. On the back of the Wow potato chip, it says it causes cramping and loose stools. It doesn't say this, but one of the side effects of Wow potato chips is rectal leakage. We can hardly wait for that one. The generic name of Wow, of the substance they use as this fake fat is called sucrose polyester. We're not sure, but we think that's what happened to all the leisure suits. They're all gone, right? My goodness. Well, anyway, our government, people say, but the government wouldn't put something like that on the market. It isn't good for us. Right. That's why they have a warning label on it. And there's a new prescription drug, and I'm going to talk about this because I have a whole book on this called Xenical or Orlistat. Has anybody seen any ads for that yet? Yeah. It says, make sure that you take it after a good meal. Don't take it after a bad meal, because if you take it with a high-fat diet, you're going to have oily rectal leakage and unannounced explosive diarrhea. What a terrific way to lose weight. You never leave the bathroom. Whoa. Next, please. And of course, hot dogs, sausage, bacon, and luncheon meat, they all have nitrites and nitrates, which are carcinogenic. Try turkey or chicken or tofu dogs, and we'll talk about that in a second. Number 2, sugared cereals, I recommend eating the box. Forget about what's inside. I mean, what is it? It's basically a sugared confection with, they put a few vitamins in there, big deal, they're all synthetic. And number 1, of course, my favorite, Twinkies, Ding Dongs, and donuts. Yeah! I don't even know this, but a Twinkie has a longer shelf life than you do. The thing never goes bad. It does turn colors, but it's always squeezable and soft, similar to the bathroom tissue. My goodness. So those are the things that I recommend keeping away from at all costs. Now, we are in a very interesting time of our existence here. We call it drug-free America. You've probably seen this, of course. It says that people should teach their children to be drug-free. Right! From 0 to 4 years old, you start them off with amoxicillin, a type of penicillin if they have any type of infection. From 4 to 12, it's, of course, Ritalin time. Ritalin is a drug that they use for so-called ADD and ADHD. We must have a deficiency of Ritalin in America because we use more than the rest of the world combined. And then 12 to 18, of course, it's appetite suppressant because, heaven forbid, girls are a little bit overweight. Then 18 to 24, it's the no-dose thing where you stay up all night to study for an exam. And then 24 to 38 is the so-called Zantac, where your stomach problems, the Prozacs are next. And then as you get older, everything. I mean, the average elderly person is taking anywhere from 12 drugs or more. So we are in what we call a drug-free society. Who's kidding who? In fact, this is one of my books that I have as part of a program that I'm going to have available called Prescription Alternatives. It talks about all the alternatives to drugs, because you probably have noticed we are being bombarded with prescription drug ads. Does anybody notice any of the ads? I love those ads. At the end of the ad, they tell you all the principal side effects, right? You know, so my favorite drug is Propecia. It's a drug that you use for growing hair on males, but if you're a female that's of childbearing age and you touch the tablet, if it's broken, call the Poison Control Center because it can actually interfere with the fetus. And then another little problem it has is called, well, you lose your sexual libido. So you have hair, but, you know, have a few other little problems as well. Whoa, terrific. So this is the first book of its kind that gives you the alternatives to the drugs, etc. And that's a part of the program that I'm talking about because what an exciting time this is to be born.